Hit the subscribe button and activate the bell icon for more videos like this. People will say it's fake. Trust me, there is no one on this earth that wishes more it was fake. Four stories of Reddit nuclear revenge. I've really liked this girl for a while that I met at a lifeguard certification course, and I talked to her while I was there and I thought, ended up hitting it off. We exchanged numbers and social media and all that, and we messaged for a few weeks before I asked her out to a movie, which she accepted. We'd been going on casual dates, nothing too serious, and we weren't hanging out at my place or her place, even though I'd hinted at the idea, for a few weeks before one of her friends, someone that was also at the lifeguarding course that I met and kept in contact with because he was cool, sends me a screenshot. It showed a nude pic and the conversation went like this: "Friend, aren't you and dude going out now?" Her, "Not really, but as long as he keeps paying for everything I'll let him take me out more, girls gotta eat." He said he felt bad for me because I was nice and that she does this often to other dudes. After seeing this, I asked her to go on a nice date with me to a hibachi grill restaurant. $20, $40 plates and premium desserts are served here. I got the most expensive thing they had and so did she. We both got fancy ice cream and multiple refills on drinks. I complimented her a lot and smiled consistently, before getting up to go to the bathroom and leaving. I was also her ride. About 45 minutes after, I get furious texts from her saying that she had to have her mom come down and pay for it because she didn't have the money on her and that we were done. I know it's not a lot and it sucks because I thought she was actually into me, but it felt pretty nice leaving her that way. I'm a photographer, and was working with a super sweet couple. Everything was normal up until the cocktail hour. My partner and I were setting stuff up for the reception, and the groom comes up to us and asks the DJ if he can play a video for his wife. We assume it's some cute slideshow or something. Toasts happen, then the video starts to play. Turns out the bride was sleeping with the best man, and the video was from a private investigator. The whole room went silent. Bride runs out, best man goes to follow her, groom's father punches best man out. Everyone else ended up staying and having a great party. Super nice people. I ended up shooting the groom's second wedding. I asked him why we went though with it. Apparently they had a prenup. At the time of divorce, if adultery could be proven, the offending party owed the other $15K. Back when I still was in university, I used to work for a hotel to make ends meet. When I started, the hotel very urgently needed new personnel. So I cut a deal with the old owner about getting to choose and pick shifts, so I could visit my courses and exams. Speaking some extra foreign languages, I also got a little bonus each month on top. The old owner was a great guy. He owned multiple hotels, so I rarely saw him. But when he was in the house, he always made a point to have drinks with the staff, chat with us, and if we were free he even invited those of the front desk to fancy restaurants who were not on shift. Fast forward. I had worked in the hotel for a few years now and was nearing the completion of my studies. So it wouldn't have been an eternity until I had to quit anyway. As I was of course more interested to work in my field of study. As part of my deal with the old owner, I mostly chose to work night shifts, allowing me to visit my courses at university during the day. To make up for my privileges, I had picked up the habit of doing some extra work in the dead of night other shifts would normally have to do, when I on contrast could have sat around and stared at the walls. People were grateful for the help in the beginning. And we became a rather tight-knit group. But over time people rotated in and out. When the old owner retired and his a-hole of a son took over the business as the new owner, I already feared the worst. The new owner didn't like me very much. I never found out the exact reason for that one. I was at that point nearly the sole veteran left from when I started. Among the tasks I had taken on was doing light clerical tasks to ease the manager's job in the morning. For that, I generally had to use the manager's network account. One night while doing my lists, I logged into the manager's account and emailed to do my job. Then I saw an email with my name in the subject line. I know it is not nice to snoop, but of course, I read it. Turns out the new owner wanted to get rid of me. I still had my old employee contract with the bonuses for foreign language abilities and was allowed by my contract to pick and choose shifts. I can only assume these privileges are what made the new owner hate me. No idea if he had other reasons. Because to be honest, these seem very weak to me. But he couldn't fire me without cause. On top of that, I would be owed severance if fired. And generally, there were not enough bodies in the shift rotation without me. Though the new owner didn't seem to understand that point, as the emails told me. I looked for more email concerning me and found them. There was an email chain between some of the employees, the manager and the new owner. I was of course not in the mail trail as I was the hated topic. The employees didn't like me hogging the night shifts, because those paid better, and for every night you worked you got paid the night bonus. The manager was the only one rather neutral on the matter and just curbed their enthusiasm to get rid of me, as they needed me to be fully staffed. The new owner and my colleagues actively conspired to make a hostile work environment so I would quit of my own volition. I was furious. I thought about a variety of reactions, from egging their cars to burning down the hotel. But I settled on a less crazy method of revenge. I called my uncle at 2 a.m. asking for advice. My uncle is a lawyer, so for sake of proof, I forwarded myself all the emails. I made photos, printed them out, made copies and filmed the whole deal just to be sure. My uncle told me to sit tight and see if things got worse, or if it was just bluster. And so I gave it a few days. And things did take a turn. Snide remarks about my looks, clothing and so on were only the tip of the iceberg. Some of the colleagues were just as professional as before. But the conspirators always left extra work for me or a pond of bad duties they normally had to do on me. I always kept a spare shirt and suit at work, just to have a change, which suddenly disappeared. One guy even started to threaten me with violence. But I kept clenching my butt cheeks. I would not give them the satisfaction of saving on the severance or giving in. I am a big boy after all. I did, however, stop doing any extra work I was not obligated to do, which in the end was the reason they used to fire me. They still had to pay me severance. The next day my uncle, with bundled proof of the email and all documented harassment by my colleagues, served the hotel my lawsuit. It started with wrongful termination and ended with harassment. Reportedly the manager went white as a sheet when he realized where the emails must have come from. The new owner had been on vacation and had to cancel his expensive vacation in France to deal with this. Their counsel advised them to settle. So I accepted my severance and a hefty bonus on top. Enough money to last me until the end of university without work. But that was not all my revenge. I had gone after the new owner's money. But in the next step, I went after the hotel. I had used all the spare time during night shifts alone to document every last violation of city, county, district, state and federal law I could find. That went from minor things like some harmless mold under the kitchen sink to substantial violations like modifications to the building. The building was under a limited form of historical protection by federal law, on the ground of being built and inhabited by somewhat important historical figures a few hundred years back, so every renovation or change in floor plans needs to be signed off on by a committee, which can take ages. There is also a grant paid to the new owner by the government for keeping the building intact as is. So with my uncle's help, I sent documentation of every violation I could find to the corresponding agency. In 1 month everything from health, building code, fire safety to the finance, and work police crawled over the hotel. In the end, it was the building and fire inspectors that shut the place down. The new owner had done substantial renovations to the top floor luxury apartments, which he used when he was in town. So the new owner had to pay back the grant, pay fines for unauthorized alterations to the building, endangering his guests, because something wasn't built right according to fire code, and had to close down shop until the building was fixed. I also tipped off a friend who had studied journalism and worked at a local paper. The paper ran an article on all the violations accumulated, which tanked the business once it had reopened, as the newspaper article had led to horrible reviews. In the end, to afford all the fines, repayments and building costs, the new owner sold the hotel. As the cherry on top, all the a-holes who had tried to harass me out lost their job. Granted, the people who didn't do anything to me lost their jobs too, but didn't do anything to stand up for me or help me either. So I don't feel too much remorse. And the revenge cherry on top was that the new owner, whenever he was in town, used to bring home escorts, which in my country is not illegal. But he was married. It took some doing to get that information to the new owner's wife. But one of my former colleagues, who had quit before this had all happened, had her email. So I let her know what the new owner was up to when he was out of town. I don't know what exactly happened, but they did divorce in the end. Make of that what you will. I know myself, it sounds completely insane, and a few people will say it's fake. Trust, there is no one on this earth that wishes it was fake, more than me. If I could go back, I would go the neighbors sooner, but my reality is that I caused the death of my mom. I had to mature very early. I became like a surrogate to my sister for those last 3 years. I only wanted him to beat her up, he go to jail, and my mom get help. I never wanted her to die. First, this is a throwaway account. Take this as you will, this is my story of my revenge against my mother and the devil. First, our father passed away 4 years before all this started. Car crash. Maybe our lives would have been better if he hadn't died that day. Also, before I get into this, one thing you should know is, before this man came into our lives, our mother was amazing. She was loving, supportive, and put us above everything. But she would soon replace us with her new man and her new meth habit. When I was around 9 and my little sister 7, our mom started dating this man. Let's call him Pos. Pos was tall and weighed about 250 pounds. He had oily, brown hair and a face filled with sores. I didn't like him from the start. He made me uncomfortable, to say the least. A few months after they started dating, Pos moved into our house. Everything was okay for the first few weeks, I guess. Then my mom started to act funny. Staying up all night, not cooking us lunch or supper, not cleaning, snapping at us for no reason, and started hitting us. Our lives had been turned upside down by this man so quickly. Then one night he came into my bedroom, held me down and did things to me I'd rather not say. I was screaming and crying for my mom, begging her to come help me, to come save me please. And then I seen her standing in the door watching him do this me. My mom was just letting him do this to me. She was just watching, like she was looking at a TV or something. When he finished, and climbed off of me, he walked up to my mom, kissed her, and walked away with her. My mom just left me, crying and bleeding. I was just broken and she allowed it to happen. Not long after they walked out, I hear them having sex in the living room. It was my 10th birthday. Happy birthday to me. A couple of nights later I hear my little sister crying. I get out of bed to find my mom standing in her doorway. I run to the room to try to help her, and my mom sees me. She backhands me across the face, making me slam against the hallway wall. I can hear my sister crying and begging, with no one coming to help her. That was the day, I started hating my mother. This went on for 3 years. I didn't know at the beginning but soon found out. Pos had gotten my mom using meth. Pos and meth were the only important things in her life. My sister and I were nothing more than his play toys. I soon started noticing them arguing more and more about who got more hits. This one was stashing from the other one, and you smoked the last of it all by yourself. This is when I started planning my revenge. I noticed after about 3 days they would finally pass out, and would sleep for almost 2. And their bag of meth would always be on the bedside table, beside Pos. I know most would ask, why didn't you call the police, or child welfare? Because jail wasn't enough. He might has done the most horrible things with us, but she betrayed us. She turned her back on us. And I wanted revenge and wanted her to suffer like we had. So every chance I got I would move the bag, just at first. Make it look tampered with. Then I started taking it from the bag and placing some on my mom's table. These things alone cause a lot of fighting. They started getting physical. I would keep my sister and I out of sight when this went on. And they never lasted long. Well, I continued to do this over a couple of months, taking more and more, flushing it, or dropping it down the sink. Until the last day. The last day I took the whole bag. It was a good amount, they had just re-upped like they would say. I flushed the whole bag. And locked my sister and I in my room, and quietly prayed that they didn't realize it was me. I am not sure how long after I did this, that everything started. But we had watched like 3 Disney movies before they finally woke up. And then I heard him start yelling about his missing bag. The yelling got louder and more intense, then I heard the breaking of objects. It was starting to getting bad now. I hear my mom go from angry to scared. I hear him hitting her begging him to stop. Swearing she didn't touch it. He continues to hit and she continues to beg, begging him to stop hurting her, begging someone to come help her. Begging like we begged her for so many nights. My sister started asking to leave, she was scared, and crying. I opened my window, put my sister outside and followed. We ran to the neighbors and told them that Pos was beating our mom. The neighbor called the police and brought us inside. And we watched as the police pulled up to our house. Start to walk up to the door, stopped for a second and then started yelling police, and kicked the door open. After what felt like forever, we see Pos being brought out to the police car. I wait to see my mom follow, but she doesn't. I see an ambulance pull up and the paramedics run in the gurney. A short time later I see them rushing back with my mom. I catch a glimpse of her once beautiful face, now looking like ground meat. Her face was solid red, covered in blood. She ended up dying on the way to the hospital. I never planned to have my mother killed. I just wanted her to feel the pain we had been feeling for these last years. And I guess in the end she did. She felt the pain and terror we felt every night for the last 3 years. She just felt it all in one night. Do I feel bad about what I did? No, I don't. If I didn't do what I did, we would have been stuck there, having horrible things happening to us and being beaten every day until one of us would have died. Paz was convicted of second-degree murder, possession of drug paraphernalia, I flushed the actual drugs, and 23 counts of aggravated R and 17 counts of aggravated R against a person under 12 years of age. That last one is a death sentence where this all happened. We moved a few states over, to be with our dad's parents. We hadn't seen them in almost 4 years, and for the first time in a long time, we actually felt safe. My sister, still to this day, doesn't know what I did. Doesn't know that I played a big part in our mom's death. And since we never talk about either of them, it never comes up. We are both happily married now. I have 3 children, she has 2. Both of us are active members of our PTA. No one looking at us today would ever guess the hell we went through, or what I did to get us out of it. Thanks for listening to. Hit the subscribe button and activate the bell icon for more videos like this.